Everyone talks about motivation as if it is the secret to success. But what if I told you that motivation is unreliable, unpredictable, and fades faster than you think? The real secret that separates achievers from dreamers is not motivation at all. It is something more scientific, something wired deep inside your brain: self-discipline. The ability to make yourself do what needs to be done, even when you do not want to. In The Science of Self-Discipline, Peter Hollins reveals that self-discipline is not about willpower or talent. It is about understanding how your mind and body work, and then training them to obey your long-term goals instead of your short-term emotions. This book breaks down the biological, psychological, and environmental forces that control your behavior and shows you how to take charge of all of them. By the end, you will not just feel disciplined, you will become the kind of person who acts with consistency, clarity, and power. Chapter 1: The Biological Basis of Self-Discipline. Have you ever felt torn between two voices inside your head, one telling you to stay focused and another tempting you to relax or give up? Science says that both voices are real. They come from two different parts of your brain that are constantly fighting for control. The first part is the prefrontal cortex, the logical decision maker. It helps you plan, focus, and control your impulses. The second part is the limbic system, your emotional center. It wants pleasure, comfort, and quick rewards. When discipline fails, it is usually because the limbic system wins the battle. The good news is, your prefrontal cortex can be trained like a muscle. Every time you resist temptation or delay gratification, your brain builds stronger neural connections for discipline. The author explains that self-discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is about rewiring your brain to favor logic over emotion, focus over distraction. But here is the twist: your brain chemistry can work against you if you are not careful. In the next chapter, you will discover how certain emotional triggers secretly control your actions without you even noticing. Chapter 2: What pushes your buttons? Why do you lose control so quickly when you are stressed, hungry, or frustrated? The answer lies in emotional triggers, invisible buttons that hijack your discipline before you can even react. Peter Hollins explains that every person has a few powerful triggers that activate emotional reactions. For some, it is fear of failure. For others, it is the craving for comfort or approval. When these buttons are pushed, the logical brain shuts down and the emotional brain takes over. The key to mastering self-discipline is to identify these triggers before they control you. Once you understand what sparks your impulses, you can design mental habits that deactivate those buttons. For example, if anxiety makes you procrastinate, learn to pause and take deep breaths instead of reacting instantly. Self-awareness is the first line of defense against emotional control, and once you master your emotions, you can start building discipline that even the toughest situations cannot shake. But that still leaves one question: how do people who face extreme pressure, like Navy SEALs, stay disciplined under chaos? That is exactly what Chapter 3 reveals. Chapter 3: Discipline Tactics of Navy SEALs. Imagine being trained to stay calm under gunfire, to move forward when fear screams at you to run. That is what Navy SEALs are taught to do, and their discipline is not natural. It is built through deliberate conditioning. Peter Hollins explains that Navy SEALs use a concept called controlled exposure. They repeatedly place themselves in uncomfortable, high-pressure situations until their brains learn that fear does not mean stop, it means focus. This process teaches one powerful lesson: discipline grows only in discomfort. When you make discomfort your teacher instead of your enemy, your tolerance for challenge expands, and your reactions become automatic. They also use visualization and mental rehearsal. Before entering a mission, SEALs mentally walk through every step of their plan, preparing their minds to act with precision even under stress. The takeaway is simple but powerful: discipline is not built by avoiding difficulty, but by embracing it deliberately. The more you train, your mind to stay calm in chaos, the more unstoppable you become. And yet, even the strongest discipline can be drained by certain invisible habits. In the next chapter, you will discover what those discipline drainers are and how to eliminate them from your life before they destroy your momentum. Chapter 4. Diagnosing discipline drainers. You might think you lack discipline, but what if your discipline is not weak, it is just being silently drained every day without you realizing it? Peter Hollins calls these hidden enemies discipline drainers. They are small, unnoticed habits that steal your energy and self-control little by little. Things like poor sleep, constant notifications, messy surroundings, or even toxic relationships. Each one drains your mental battery, and when that battery is low, even small decisions feel impossible. That is why you might start your day strong but end it scrolling endlessly through your phone. Your willpower simply ran out. The author explains that self-discipline is not about working harder, but managing your mental energy smarter. You must treat your brain like a battery. Protect it from leaks, recharge it often, and don't waste it on meaningless choices. Because once you eliminate what drains you, even hard tasks begin to feel easier. But how do you train your brain to handle discomfort, the real enemy of progress? That's what the next chapter is all about. Chapter 5. Flex your uncomfortable muscle. Every time you avoid discomfort, you weaken your mental resilience. And every time you face discomfort, you strengthen it like a muscle. Peter Hollins reveals that success belongs to those who can stay calm when others run from pain. Whether it's waking up early, sticking to a diet, or working on a tough project, your mind constantly whispers, "This is too hard." That's your comfort zone speaking, and it is lying to you. The author suggests practicing controlled discomfort daily. Take cold showers, delay instant pleasures, or do the hardest task first. These small acts build mental toughness and make you immune to laziness and procrastination. He calls this process discipline conditioning. It rewires your brain to associate discomfort with growth instead of fear. So next time you feel resistance, do not run, smile, because that resistance means you are getting stronger. But even a strong mind can collapse in a chaotic environment. So how do you create surroundings that help discipline thrive? Let's move to Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Creating a disciplined environment. Imagine trying to eat healthy while your kitchen is full of junk food. It is not your willpower that fails, it's your environment that traps you. Peter Hollins explains that your surroundings either support your discipline or sabotage it. Every cue in your environment, your phone on the table, snacks in sight, an open tab on social media silently influences your behavior. The secret is to design your space for success. Keep distractions out of reach. Make good habits visible and bad habits invisible. For example, place your workout clothes where you see them first thing in the morning, and keep your phone away when you're working. The author reminds us that discipline is not about fighting temptation every day. It's about removing temptation altogether. When your environment is aligned with your goals, discipline becomes automatic. But what about the people around you? Because no matter how disciplined you are, the wrong relationships can break your focus faster than anything else. That brings us to the next chapter 1 that reveals how relationships can make or break your willpower. Chapter 7. The relationships that inform our willpower. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and Peter Hollins proves it with science. Your brain unconsciously mirrors the habits, beliefs, and emotions of those around you. If you are surrounded by people who complain, quit easily, or avoid challenges, you will slowly adopt those same patterns. But if your circle values growth, persistence, and purpose, discipline becomes contagious. The author calls this social conditioning of self-control. Your relationships shape your behavior more than motivation ever could. That is why high achievers protect their energy fiercely and spend time only with people who uplift their standards. To strengthen your willpower, build what Hollins calls a discipline ecosystem. Surround yourself with people who inspire, challenge, and hold you accountable. Let their consistency fuel yours, because in the end, discipline is not a solo act, it's a network effect. But there's still one strange habit that unlocks even more control over your decisions. And it starts with something surprisingly simple: what you eat first. That's coming up next in Chapter 8. Chapter 8. Why you should always eat your vegetables first. Here is a strange truth. The order in which you do things matters more than you think. Peter Hollins uses the simple metaphor of eating your vegetables first to describe how disciplined people approach their tasks. They tackle the hard, uncomfortable, and important things before anything else, just like eating the vegetables before the dessert. Most people reverse this. They chase quick rewards, easy wins, and temporary comfort, telling themselves they will deal with the hard stuff later. But later never comes. The author reveals that this small shift in order rewires your brain for success. When you do the hardest thing first, your brain releases dopamine afterward, rewarding you for progress. This creates a feedback loop that strengthens self-discipline naturally. Start every day by asking, "What is my vegetable today?" Then face it first thing in the morning, before distractions or doubts can interfere. Because when you consistently choose discipline over comfort, the rest of your life begins to taste sweeter. But what happens when temptation strikes out of nowhere, when your mind screams to give in? The next chapter is your emergency manual for those moments. Chapter 9. Quick. Read in case of temptation. You are doing well. You are focused, productive, and disciplined until one moment of weakness destroys all progress. We have all been there. Peter Hollins teaches a life-saving trick: prepare before temptation arrives. He calls it mental rehearsing for weakness. Imagine the moment you are most likely to give up and visualize your response in advance. This primes your brain to act automatically instead of emotionally when the real temptation appears. The author also suggests the 10-minute rule. When temptation hits, delay it for 10 minutes. Just 10. More often than not, that craving fades and you regain control. Discipline is not about never feeling tempted. It is about training your brain to pause before reacting. That pause creates freedom. And when you can delay gratification, you begin to control your life instead of being controlled by impulses. But what drives that impulse in the first place? Why do some people resist pressure while others break under it? The next chapter reveals the hidden force behind all discipline: your mindset. Chapter 10. Mindset and approach are everything. Peter Hollins argues that discipline does not start with action, it starts with identity. You act according to who you believe you are. If you see yourself as lazy, weak, or inconsistent, no tactic will last. But when you see yourself as someone who honors commitments, shows up, and keeps promises, your actions follow naturally. The author explains that self-discipline thrives on a growth mindset, the belief that effort, not talent, determines success. People with a fixed mindset quit when things get hard because they see struggle as failure. Disciplined people view struggle as feedback, proof they are growing stronger. To build this mindset, Peter Hollins suggests daily affirmations, reflection on small wins, and setting identity-based goals. Do not say, "I want to read more." Say, "I am a reader." Do not say, "I want to be fit." Say, "I am someone who takes care of my body." This mental shift transforms discipline from an external effort into an internal standard. But even the strongest mindset needs structure. And that is what the final chapter reveals: how to turn self-discipline into a lifestyle through routines and habits. Chapter 11. Build routines and habits for ultimate self-discipline. Peter Hollins concludes the book with one ultimate truth: discipline is not about forcing yourself every day, it is about creating systems so that you no longer have to. Routines transform effort into automatic behavior. When you tie actions to consistent cues like reading every morning with coffee or exercising after work, you remove the decision-making friction that drains willpower. The author compares habits to a train track. Once the track is laid down, the train runs smoothly without constant pushing. That is what routines do for your life. They automate success. He also introduces the concept of habit stacking. Attach a new habit to one you already have. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, add a 2-minute gratitude reflection right after. Soon, your brain begins to link the two actions together. In time, these tiny routines merge into a disciplined identity. You no longer chase motivation, it becomes who you are. So the final message of this book is simple yet powerful. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. When you live with discipline, you prove to yourself every single day that you can trust your own word. Conclusion: discipline is not about punishing yourself or living without pleasure. It is about freedom, the freedom to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. Peter Hollins shows that discipline is built one decision at a time. It is a combination of understanding your biology, mastering your environment, training your mind, and building systems that support who you want to become. In the end, self-discipline is not about control, it is about respect. When you live with discipline, you respect your goals, your time, and your potential. You stop chasing motivation and start living with purpose. So the next time you face that internal resistance, remember this: every moment of discomfort is a doorway to strength. Step through it because your future self is waiting on the other side. If this summary helped you see discipline differently, share it with someone who needs it, and tell me in the comments what is one area of your life where you want to build stronger discipline. Do not forget to subscribe for more powerful book summaries that help you grow one decision at a time.